Okay, number 5. Number 5 has a data set that is represented within a stem and leaf. It says 28 students participated in a scholastic competition. The maximum score that a student could receive was 90. Because we're given this information, a key here is not provided, but it could be something like this, meaning 72. But we can make that generalization because we know our maximum is 90. So it says the point distribution is given in the following stem and leaf plot. We have to find the mean, the mode, the median, and the standard deviation of the population. Okay, because we need to find these things, I think the easiest method would be to go into our lists and enter in the data set. I'm going to clear out the data sets that I have in here. We typically want to work with list 1 because the calculator defaults to list 1. So I'm entering in my data entries. Now these are already in numerical order. So to find the median and to find the mode, we really don't have to enter in the list into the calculator, but it will definitely help us when we go to calculate our standard deviation. So I'm double checking my numbers, thank goodness, because I entered in 48 as 78 on accident. Again, one number wrong could affect, well, it's definitely going to affect your mean and your standard deviation. It could also affect your mode and or your median. Checking my numbers again. This is something I really strongly suggest that you do when it comes to the final exam. Okay, so now I'm going to go to stat, calculate one variable statistics. If you don't see this screen, that's because your Stat Wizards is turned on, mine is turned off. Okay, again, Stat Wizards is located in mode. You scroll down to the second screen. I recommend you just turn it off because not everyone has it in their calculators. This way data entry is the same. So now, one variable statistics, we would enter in list 1 or the list name if we needed to, but the calculator defaults to list 1, so I'm just going to hit enter. So now I have my mean, that's X bar, so this is 40.2 approximately. The mode is not provided to us within this information in our one variable statistics. However, we can identify that 42 is the only number that repeats itself 3 times, and that is the most frequent that any number repeats itself. Now I can scroll down for my median in the one variable statistics. It's listed as MED, and it's 37.5. Now for the standard deviation, it says the standard deviation of the population. Remember, our symbol for standard deviation of a population is sigma. So an X again is attached to it, meaning it comes from that first data set. But we get about 19.0, I'll go to 3 decimal places here, 27. Okay. The SX in the calculator, remember S represents your standard deviation for a sample. Okay, number 6, reading a histogram. Part A, how many classes are shown in the histogram? We just count up how many bars we have, or even if we have a gap in between, we would count that from where our bar starts. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 classes. What is the class width? To find the class width, we would take any 2 consecutive lower or upper limits and subtract them. And take the absolute value. So 30 minus 20 is 10. 100 minus 90, 10. 90 minus 80, 10. Okay. Label the class mark in each interval. Okay, so that's the middle. The class mark is your midpoint. So the middle of 45 to 50 is 45. 50 to 60 is 55. 60 to 70, 65. 70 to 80, 75. And it says to label each one. Now a question on the final might say, what is the class mark of the fifth interval? So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The class mark is 65. D. What is the frequency of the fourth interval? So we're going to go to our fourth interval, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the intervals always we start counting from the left to the right. And it looks like our frequency is up at 2. Frequency, again, is just the height of the bar. Number 7. A school principal takes a sample of 7 junior ACT scores. So here's our scores listed. We need the mean and we need the sample standard deviation. Sample standard deviation is a lowercase s. I'm going to go to my calculator and enter in these numbers in a list. So that way I don't have to calculate my standard deviation by hand. So double check or triple check the numbers that you enter. We all make mistakes. We want to make sure that we get the questions correct. So now I'm going to go to stat, calculate my one variable statistics. I don't need to enter in the list name. I just hit enter because I am in list 1. So our sample mean, the mean in the calculator is x bar. It's 14.143. I'll go to 3 decimal places here. What is the sample standard deviation? This would be our SX, so 7.335. Remember that sigma, again, is your standard deviation for a population.